we're going to demonstrate some turning kicks, go through some teaching points and some common faults whilst practicing turning kicks. So the way we like to teach turning kick is to actually practice it backwards, if that makes sense. So we start with the last bit of the kick, and by doing this what you do is you feel how your hips should be in that final position, and then when we do it from start to finish, hopefully you're going to hit that finish point because you know naturally how it feels in your hips and the rest of your body. So what we tend to do is we have one hand, we do it on the back wall first I think, we have one hand against the wall and we point the standing foot, toes in the direction of the wall. Okay, now they don't have to point 90 degrees exactly to the wall, but somewhere in that last quarter between wall and 45 degrees off. We then pick up the leg with the kicking knee and we try and pull this knee backwards this way so that this knee is pointing towards the target that we wish to kick. Okay, so the target in this instance is standing right in front here. And then all we get the students to do is keep everything nice and still and just extend from the knee and back, out and back. So they can feel how their hips should be, how it should feel at the end of the kick. If you wish, you can get a target and you can stand in front and you can just get them to kick the target and back. The important bit is that the knee stays nice and still. We don't want the knee coming around here and then when they kick, their knee is coming back this way, because obviously that's not going to generate enough power. We want the power to be coming around angularly in this direction. Okay, so we just demonstrate that from the side using the bag. So hand on the wall, toes pointing in the direction of the bag, knee comes up, and then just straight and back. Straight and back. And the knee, wherever the knee points, that is going to be where the kick ends up. If I wanted to kick low, I'd point my knee down. When I straighten my leg, it's obviously going to go nice and straight in the direction that my knee was pointing. If I wanted to pick it up higher, pick your knee up higher, kick higher, pull back and down. So as you bring your leg round to perform the kick, you need to have your knee coming round in line with the target of what it is we're going to kick. Okay, so the next stage you can practice with your turning kicks is the pivot. And a good way to do that is to use something at the side of your body to get your knee up and over, because we don't want to drag the foot round and then flick this kick up at the end. We want to chamber and come round nice and level. So if you haven't got somebody to help you and hold something like we're going to demonstrate here, you can use a chair or something that stands on its own and practice chambering your knee up and pivoting on the ball of the foot this way. Okay, so don't have to perform the kick. Spinning on that front foot, right up on the tiptoes, on the ball of the foot, not the heel. Picking that leg up nice and tight and pivoting that knee around towards the target. So pivoting, picking it up, pivoting it around, and getting used to your balance and your core muscles that are going to be needed to get yourself around. Try and keep the arms in nice and tight for balance and to help you spin. Don't have the arms sticking out too far. So once you've done all that, probably the best thing to do with your turning kick is to practice kicking off the front leg first. So if we get somebody to hold a target or you've got a pad, you can position your feet as you did when you were practicing holding onto the wall, and then just picking up the front leg and kicking and down. Once you've got used to that and you've done a few, you can take that kicking leg all the way to the back and you can practice the pivot that we did over the obstacle and then put the kick onto the end of it. This way. One more time. Good. And as you notice, what we tend to do with the kicks is after we've kicked the target, we pull the leg back in the same direction as it went out. So you can kick, and I have seen people kick and generate quite a lot of power by kicking and going straight through the target this way. Yeah, the trouble with that sort of kick is, especially when you're doing sparring, is that if you miss the target or the target moves out of the way, you're then going to turn your back on them for a split second, and unless you're going to throw a back kick or a spinning kick or something after your kick, there's a risk that you might get caught. So by doing your turning kick and pulling it back, it gives us the opportunity to use that kick again. So we might kick it out and then pull it back and throw it as a side kick or something. Just going to say. On turning kick, when you perform turning kick in your sparring, it's a good idea to work on keeping this backhand here A lot of the time if you perform turning kick, which comes around during sparring, people tend to, if the kick's coming to the open side, people that can see it coming will roll and do reverse turning kick or back kick and catch you on your open side. So if you get into a bad habit of kicking this way, with your guard down, you can leave yourself open. So if you're kicking with your left leg, keep your right hand nice and high here, protecting against anything that comes in, and your left hand protecting against the bottom. Okay, it's a good habit to get into. A common fault that we see with some of the kicks, in particular turning kicks and side kicks, is the people with a little bit less flexibility try and make it easier for themselves by pivoting all the way around, including their knee, and then, particularly when they're doing a turning kick, coming back and throwing the turning kick this way because they find it easier on their hips. But if you think about what we're actually doing when we do that, we're actually generating all of our body mass and power coming around in this direction past the target, and then we're flicking back to hit the target, and all we're actually going to be using is the last bit of the leg. Okay, so it really is poor technique if you want to generate any power, even though it might feel a little bit more comfortable for some people. So what's better to do, rather than try and kick too high and have bad technique, is to just bring all the kicks down to a proper height that you can actually achievably kick and make the technique technically correct. So we'd much rather see somebody coming around and kicking here, technically correct, or with the side kick, coming around and kicking here, technically correct, rather than kicking this way, trying to get their leg to come up higher and make it a little bit easier on their hips. Okay, so just kick lower, kick correctly, keep good posture, look after your hips, look after your knees, make sure you're pivoting into the correct position, and practice those positions, how it should feel, this way, or if you're going to kick lower, this way. Practice how that should feel, and then just get used to coming round into that position and build it up. So the turning kick break, you can see that we're going to use the angle this time. We're not standing straight in front of the board, and the angle may vary depending on how flexible you are at pulling your toes back. Obviously we're going to be kicking with the board of the foot, so in order to do that we need to make sure we can pull the toes right out of the way and we're not kicking the board with the end of the toe. So the angle is going to be roughly, as Mr. Tizik has got it here, which is maybe 45 degrees-ish towards the board. Front foot pointing towards the back of the board. She's aiming her front foot where she's going to be kicking, which is slightly through the board. So she picks the knee up as we did, pivots round and gets the ball of the foot on that centre of the board and then back down. Okay, so we don't tend to do turning kick off the front leg for breaking, because we do need to generate that mass by twisting and coming through this way, and if we just did it off the front leg here, we're relying a little bit more on a fast flicky technique which you might use in sparring, like a jab.